Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the epic fail of Arturo Zamora. So you should have your book open to chapter 10 and you should be following along as I read aloud. So this is chapter 10, Hidden Recipes. I left Bren's house and headed to La Cocina to find my mom. Mop's first instinct had been to tell my mom about Wilfredo's plans, so maybe Carmen was right. I got to the restaurant and Mari said my mom had gone home for the day. Maybe my mom already knew. It's not like Wilfredo Pipo was hiding it. The model was on display in his window. Anybody could see it. I walked into my apartment to find my mom putting away some groceries in the kitchen. "Mom?" I said, trying to get her attention. Her phone rang, and when she saw the number calling, she picked it up. "Not now, Arturo," she whispered. "Go to your room, please. I need to take this call." She turned her back to me as she spoke to the person on the phone. "Yes, hello, Andrew. No, nobody is around." "What's up?" It was Mop's dad. I kept listening as I walked away. "He did? They approved that? Okay, thanks for the heads up." My mom let out a long sigh and then turned around, but before she could see me, I was already in my room. I paced around, trying to figure out what Mop's dad had told my mom. What did they approve? Wilfredo Pipo's plan? I sat at my desk looking for something to distract me when I came across Abuelo's box. I had forgotten about it, but there it was, inviting me to open a letter and forget my troubles. I closed my door and opened the box. Sifting through it, I placed all the contents on my desk: a CD, a whole bunch of letters, a few pens, a watch that didn't work, and a folded envelope that said in all caps, "Para Arturo Zamora, mi querido nieto, lee esto primero." Then under the Spanish, a translation. "For Arturo Zamora, my beloved grandson, read this first." Huh? I opened the envelope and pulled out the letter inside. It was handwritten in Spanish with English translations on the side. My abuelo's print was very neat and didn't waste any space. Every inch of the page was covered. I read a few lines in Spanish, then I glanced over to the English. "My dear Arturo, no doubt you will soon speak English much better than I, and perhaps without the slightest hint of an accent. Did you know that right now you are only 4 years old and you speak Spanish perfectly?" Totally weird. Maybe that was why I sometimes used Spanish words when English words couldn't fully explain what I needed to say. Like the puro desastre that was going on with La Cocina. I could take Spanish 1 or 2 words at a time, but it was harder to put full sentences together. And forget about asking me to read it. Reading in Spanish was like putting on Abuela's thick glasses and trying to pour cereal into a bowl. I did that once and got so dizzy I almost fell face first into my cocoa yums. So perhaps you are reading this as a young man and wondering what on earth your abuelo is doing, leaving you a box full of letters and music and poetry. Yep, that was pretty much true, abuelo. Perhaps you are thinking your abuelo was a bit loquito, leaving you so much paper to sift through and ponder. Well, rather than hearing stories about me from your parents or even your abuela, I wanted to let you discover for yourself who your abuelo was. So this box contains every detail of my journey, every challenge, failure, triumph, and success. Let us begin with the first thing. Find the letter in the box marked El amor y la fe. Love and faith? That was the phrase. Abuela had said that the other day. Why did Abuela want me to start there? I unfastened the bundle of letters, carefully looking for it. El amor y la fe, love and faith. I unfolded the letter. It was also written in English and Spanish. How long did it take him to write all these? The great Cuban poet and patriot José Martí wrote and translated many works of poetry and essays in both English and Spanish. Did you know that a poem by José Martí inspired a very famous song called Guantanamera? And that a young man composed a version of it that became a worldwide hit. It is the most famous song in all of Cuba, perhaps one of the most famous songs in the world. So you see, a young person has the power to do many great things. It's about belief, and most important, it is about love, I said out loud. I didn't even have to look at the page to know what he was going to write. Love. Love is 2 spirits meeting, joining together, holding each other, helping raise each other from the earth. It is born in the journey of looking for each other, fed by the need to be together. It is incapable of ever breaking apart. Love is not a tempestuous sea. It is a calm river. It is not a bonfire, but a quiet ember. It is not an abrupt end. It is peace. Huh? That is what José Martí wrote about love. Don't worry if you don't understand it now. Keep it in your box and go back to those words from time to time. They will begin to make sense as you continue to read and reread them. It took me years to understand the full depth of Marti's words, but eventually this is what I learned. I learned that no matter what I physically lost on that journey between countries, my history never changed. Because your abuela was with me, as were your mother, aunt, and uncle. I had you and your cousins close to my heart. I had my sister, Tia Abuela Josefina, and her children with me. We had first cousins and second cousins and even third cousins with us. One by one, our family came together in this new land. We fight, we Zamoras. We fight for what we believe in. We fight for our family. We fight to preserve our sense of home. We fight to be just and fair, and above all, we fight for love. No form of exile or malady can defeat us. It is invincible. The rest of these letters have dates on them. They tell my history in order. Read them and learn from the past. And remember to be adventurous, my Arturo. Be alive, be in love, find your voice, find your story. And remember, sometimes life's answers are hidden in poetry. Tu abuelo, Arturo Miguel Zamora. I couldn't resist opening another letter. The one marked 1972 told the story of Abuelo in Cuba working as a taxi driver. He drove around the famous Malecón, a huge seawall along a district in Havana called Vedado, taking tourists from Europe and Canada to Havana's major sites, the museum, the palace, through the cobblestone streets leading to the University of Havana, and around the famous nightclubs like the Tropicana. He wrote that no matter how hot the sun got, the sound of the ocean spraying against the walls of El Malecón was enough to keep you cool. Then one day, he wrote, he noticed a young woman carrying several bags of laundry on a quiet street just around the corner from El Malecón. He stopped the cab and asked if she needed a ride. At first, the young woman didn't want to accept the ride, so Abuelo parked his taxi and offered to carry the laundry wherever she needed to go. But she said she didn't need help. She kept telling me to go away. Soon I retreated to my taxi and drove next to her as she walked. She stopped, turned to me, and said if I didn't leave her alone, she was going to chase me with a machete. She was the toughest, most beautiful woman I had ever met. I apologized and left her alone. On one fateful occasion, while I drove through the same neighborhood, a vicious rainstorm swept through the streets and your abuela got caught in the middle of it. Sometimes storms come out of nowhere in Cuba. Such is life on the island. I saw her huddled under the awning of a building that was closed. The rain whipped sideways with every gust of wind. She was getting soaked, and so were her freshly laundered clothes. I stopped the car and got out. I told her she could stay in my taxi with her laundry and I would wait outside until the rain stopped. She finally accepted. I gave her the keys to my taxi and she waited inside while the storm subsided. This is how I first met and fell in love with your abuela. Without thinking, I put the letter down and I looked at my computer screen. I logged onto Twitter and typed Carmen Sanchez into the search box. A picture of a heart drawn in the sand came up next to the handle @Carsan2121. I checked and saw that @Carsan2121 was from Madrid and loved the beach, crime fiction, and poetry. It had to be Carmen, so I sent a direct message. Hey, is that you, Carmen? It's me, Arturo. Every second that she didn't respond felt like an hour. Still nothing. It was a dumb idea to send her a DM. What if it wasn't her? I went to close the screen when a message popped up. Hi, Arturo. I felt instantly relieved it wasn't some weird stranger. Hey, so what's up? Hey, nothing. Look, sorry about earlier. It's fine. Hey, so I did some digging about Wilfredo Pipo. I think I found something. What? Want to meet after your shift at the restaurant? Okay. Kate, my dad is home now. I have to go. Bye. See ya. Smiley. XOXO. Carmen signed off, but I continued to stare at my computer screen. Those X's and O's didn't mean anything, did they? I looked at Abuelo's box and I thought about the first time he met Abuela. He had not given up. That was what I was going to do. Show Carmen that I wouldn't give up. I was going to save the restaurant.